Here's what we're going to talk about today. I think the world is, the world's in a struggle. Right today, it's, what is it, the 14th of September, and everyone's freaking out. Listen, as a business, I mean, if it keeps going this direction with inflation in this kind of way, because they say inflation is 9%, 8-9% baloney. It's actually higher than that, because every other time frame when you calculated inflation, you added oil issues in there, oil prices, because we have the petro dollar, oil dollar. And so they deleted that so they could manipulate the inflation points. We're actually at around 19-20% inflation. So it's a lie from the pit of hell, all these idiots. And by the way, if we just keep going this direction, in maybe 6 months for me, or maybe more, the business would fail. Every type of thing is going to fail. When people say to me, well, Trump's not going to come back until 2023 or 2024, well, let's just vote him in then, the country will be gone. And even Trump says that, but you're not listening. You're not hearing behind it. You know, I'm going to teach you a sign. This is friend. This means relationship. Now, if I just did like this, I basically am saying, I have an acquaintance, yeah, I know who he is, kind of thing. But if I'm talking about my wife, who's my lover, my friend, my confidant, the one who kicks my butt when I need that stuff, I do this. Do you see the difference? Acquaintance. Okay? We have been missing these conversations. We have been missing the in-between of the same exact word. We hear inflation, or he's going to come back, or this issue. We've been reading the information from other truthers. We've been hearing the ideas and missing the inside context. This is one of the most secret operations in the history of the world. But you're missing a couple things from what the Word is talking about. Now, I'm going to tell you some of this stuff. I have Revelations of the Red Pill. You can go to drscottyoung.com. You can pick up Revelations of the Red Pill, $10. It's worth it. Okay, it'll help you out with this stuff. We are struggling with the idea of the who, the why, the when, and the how. Now, in end time issues, when I first was building the series called Hope in the Last Days, you can kind of go onto the YouTube channel. You can see this in the future. We will load it up as a product that you can buy on the website. Probably be $50, $100. I don't exactly know when we do a digital download. And they'll have all the cool information, like my notes and study kind of things that you could kind of do for a Bible study. So Hope in the Last Days. And one of the key elements that I talk about is that we always want to ask these questions. We want to ask the when and the how. Now, in the truther movement, we're struggling with the same thing. If you set a YouTube channel, a Rumble channel, a whatever, a Telegram channel, and you're trying to answer the hows and the whens, I mean, you are going to have like an explosion. Some people ask, well, why don't you do a podcast? God told me not to. I'm like, well, you should do it anyway. Shut up. I'm not doing that. The questions this is what we want to know. Because what we're really asking for is predictive. Because these questions here actually give us a predictive nature. When we know the hows, we can understand that predictive point. When we know the winds, we can have a better understanding of timing to that predictive point, okay? And what that really means is prophecy. In Scripture, we call it, in other ways we call it predictive, but this is prophecy. And in prophecy, what we're looking for is the future, okay? And that's why time travel is so fascinating for people. And I know a lot of people talk about that there's Operation Looking Glass. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. The reason is that the New Testament talks about Jesus, and he says, from the foundation of the earth, the Lamb was slain, or from the foundation of the earth. Only God, who is outside of time, can understand time. Let me give you even a cooler one. In Revelation 1 through 3, 95, cough showing up, sorry about that. He's stuck in 95 AD, and he uses a verb tense, and that verb tense is of the now. So he's basically saying, this, and this, and that. He's saying the now. When he moves in to Revelation 4 to 19, and actually through 22, he uses something very fascinating that most people don't spend time on. He uses a future, Scotty, we always think of it as a future. If I'm talking about the future, like I'm going to go to this, then, I'm going to do it next month. Next month I will go, right? And I say will go means a future tense point. Sorry, and I wrote this wrong. But that's not how that's not how he wrote it, because that's how I would write things. When you're, as a writer, I have to be very careful. And I make this mistake, and so does every other writer. You're writing along, and you'll flip from past tense to future tense, and present tense, and you just kind of mess this up. And you need readers just to kind of catch this stuff. But what John does, he moves into what is our point called the future. So this is what I really wanted to say. And he moves into the future, but he uses the verb tense. It's a past tense verb basis. You go, what? Okay, let me explain what that means. From his perspective, outside of time, so he moves from 95 AD to our future. And he's moving at Revelation 22. He is at the very end of everything. The heaven and earth have passed away. It's all done. Everyone is resurrected, blah, 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 to the end of the time. And he's still using a past tense reference all the way through. It's so fascinating because he's going into predictive prophecy here. But he doesn't always answer these powerful questions of the when and the hows. And you're going, no, wait a second. When you're doing prophecy, you should be telling the whens. But he doesn't do it. He doesn't answer those questions. I don't know if you've ever played the game like, I'm only going to answer a yes or no question. Answer the yes or no, right? Isn't it 21 questions or something like that? I don't play the game, but you get the idea. And so he has the 21 questions in there, and so you're asking yes or no. And if you don't ask the right questions, you can't even ask a yes or no. If you say, how is that going to happen? You're like, you got to ask the yes or no questions. When you're talking to God and you ask a question that is relatively meaningless, doesn't mean that he couldn't, but he won't answer those questions. Because if you knew your future, if you right today are 30 years old and you knew that you would live to 64 years old, just make up a number, okay? And you would live to that age, you might be reckless through this 34 years, correct? It's a real interesting time travel conversation that we talk about. And if you knew your future, you would make bad decisions here. And in alternate universe kind of theories, which is wrong because the Bible is set. It knows the future because God already understands the future. In alternate universe history kind of thing, you could actually die here at 32 years old or whatever, right? Now, if we knew the future, we would have a problem. So time travel conversations always never want to answer this question, the hows or the whens. Did you catch that? We keep asking the wrong questions in here. We never spend time on this, the why and the who. Because if we spent time upon the why and the who, we would understand more.